This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Mike Sedita.
Hello out there, everyone. Welcome to episode 20 of the Good Neighbor Podcast in Pasco County. And we are in for a treat today. I have my friend Melissa Battle, who is the owner of Notarizing Tampa Bay. How are you doing today, Melissa?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I am doing really well. Thank you so much for coming on with us. It's always nice to talk to small business owners, especially people that I know and have a relationship with. It makes it a lot easier for the conversation. But before we get started, just a little bit about what the Good Neighbor Podcast is, how we got started and why we do what we do. So back in 2020, when everybody was social distancing, a guy by the name of Charlie McDermott down in Southwest Florida decided, let me start the Good Neighbor Podcast so the businesses in the community could actually get their message out, whether it's a local business, whether it's a philanthropic organization or something like that. And that's what we started doing. And now, 3 years later, the Good Neighbor Podcast is across the U.S. I happen to be the person here in Tampa that does it, so I'm fortunate enough to do that. And it gives me an opportunity to touch base with businesses, and it works well in conjunction with what I do in the community with the different publications and social media platforms that we have. So with all that said, tell us a little bit about Notarizing Tampa Bay.
Notarizing Tampa Bay is my latest business adventure. I've been a registered paralegal and managed a law firm in the state for quite some time. I'm on the Florida Bar Committee for Florida Registered Paralegals as well. The Enrichment Committee, which gives information about paralegals and how we assist in law firms and all that jazz. The importance of having a registered paralegal and the difference in between the two. So naturally, working in the legal field for so long, I became a notary because you need to have that skill in any type of law firm environment when you're working with contracts and agreements and things of that nature. And so it just naturally became something that I got more and more interested into the legalities of it. Since I'm not an attorney and I can't practice law, I can't give legal advice, but that is something that I could venture out and do more on my own. So that's where my love of notary work came from.
So that was going to be kind of my next question is, I'm sure sitting, working with attorneys regularly and all the different things that come across your desk, and it just seems like a nice tool to have in the tool bag to be able to do that. So is the majority of what you're doing, like I have a follow-up question to this, but is it mainly stuff through the office, or are you going and doing like mobile services around Wesley Chapel and New Tampa, Tampa Palms, if someone needs a notary for a document like a garden variety, like my mom is sick in the hospital and I need witnesses to notarize the document. Is that the normal stuff, or is there, like, my follow-up question is, what's the craziest thing you've ever notarized?
Absolutely, Mike. That is the normal stuff. I do this completely separate from my work as a paralegal. This is my business. I own the business. And I provide mobile notary services within the Wesley Chapel, New Tampa, Dade City, Zephyr Hills, all around this whole geographic region, for people who either, your kid pulls out a permission slip or a sports form that needs authorized for school the next day and it's 9:00 at night. And they're like, well, the bank's not open. Where am I supposed to get this notarized? So you can go on this trip tomorrow. Or they have to have this form to turn into the coach before they can try out for school. So I get calls 24 hours a day.
Wow.
To help parents need for things like that. And so I take, I'm within the area. So I get up, grab my notary bag and, come to your house, take care of whatever the notary needs are that you need. Also a lot of hospitals, nursing home facilities in the area, things of that nature where people are not mobile and they don't have the ability to get up and go somewhere else. I bring the notary service to you in the comfort of whatever facility you are located in.
That answer makes me feel so incredibly old. And if there's any kids listening to this, which I don't think there are because it's not really juicy, hot topic, TikTok conversation, but if you are listening to this, when I was a kid, we didn't need a notary to go on a class trip. We would just forge all of our friends. I mean, I was Mrs. Wolf, Mrs. Yule. I mean, I signed the name for it. So I don't know how, times have really changed that field trips need to be notarized and things like that.
There's so many legalities of things these days, that no one wants the liability of anybody else. You can't even go to like a trampoline park or anywhere you go. You have to sign waivers, and you're doing that typically on your own, or if you have a minor, you're doing that for them. Kind of the same thing comes into play with this, with the notary work. And so there I am. I come in and I fill that void for you.
That you kind of got two of my questions combined there. You talked a little bit about your journey and getting into it, which makes complete sense. I mean, it's understandable. But then, some of the myths and misconceptions about it. So yeah, we have become such a litigious society that I can see why that would be the case. So that's why, I always see different people with their similar type businesses with it on their car and all that. I kept saying to myself, I understand what the strong need is for it. So is it from a business standpoint, so say if I'm having you notarize my kid's permission slip, or I'm having you notarize my dad's DNR or whatever document that is in a nursing home, is there different price points, or do you base it by the hour, the distance you have to go, the level of document? How does that kind of, from the business side, how does that work?
Well, it works. The Florida governor has a reference handbook that controls, in the state of Florida, every notary stamp. So every time you stamp a document as the notary, that stamp charges $10 per stamp. Okay. And then after that, there is, the mileage, the convenience fee, those types of things. That
makes sense.
And a lot of people say, well, I don't want to pay for that. I'll just go to my bank and do it for free.
Right.
Well, those times pretty much are over as well. Most of the time, for the same exact reason, liability, the bank doesn't want to notarize anything that doesn't have to do with the bank. Gotcha. If it is you transferring assets or you giving power of attorney to someone else to do things on your behalf, they don't want the liability and coming back in a lawsuit years from now and being, drug into that situation.
That makes sense.
Most of the time, if there's any transfer of assets or powers that be, banks, UPS, those types of facilities that typically would have a notary on staff, they only have certain training and eligibility to do certain types of notary work. So not all notaries are trained and capable of doing all types of notary work.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this then. Has there been an instance where you've been in a situation where you've said, hey, look, I just don't feel comfortable notarizing this because it seems like, not to get into specifics about a person or a family or anything, obviously not that, but where you've gone to, you've driven all the way out to Dade City or wherever, and you're like, all right, I'm up here. And then it just doesn't feel like it's the right situation. Have you ever walked away from a notarization?
Several times, Mike.
Really?
Several times, yes.
Where it just seems like something fishy is going on.
Absolutely. And since COVID, the increase in the amount of fraudulent type activities, either like people falsifying quitclaim deeds to steal properties, fake IDs. So, there's so many things that we do as a notary to protect the public from those types of activities happening. We are like the first line of defense in those documents from them being notarized, from identifying the person, making sure their identification is valid, that it is not expired, that they really are the person on that ID card.
Right.
That the ID card itself is not a falsified or fake ID card.
Right.
And then protecting vulnerable adults when you go into those situations where there may be estate documents or, wills, living wills, things like that, making sure that the elderly person that you're signing for is protected and that they're not a vulnerable adult who's being taken advantage of by either their caregiver or their kid or whomever else just
Right.
wants to take over their life and sell their property or just take everything they have and put them somewhere. There's a lot of circumstances like that we walk into.
It's funny, talking about that. It's not funny, but you talking about that. I know in your day job and in the other stuff that you do, there's some of that legal protection that goes on. I couldn't believe when I first came to Florida, pre-COVID, 2019 is when I actually physically moved here, but I had been helping my parents for years before that. And my mom's passed away. She was 76. My dad is now 80. And just seeing some of the like elder abuse that people take advantage of them, not to get into specifics or name names or anything, but a car dealer my parents had a car deal with, like they just totally took advantage of them. They leased them a car that they could have bought for the same price. Like just really shady stuff. So those protections, and in Florida is super, super strict. Like that if you get caught doing something that's considered elder fraud or elder abuse or anything like that, the rules in the state are really crazy. I had a call for this particular instance I'm talking about. And so it's great to have those protections to have somebody that'll come mobile and take care of some of that stuff to make sure that stuff's not happening. That's fantastic.
Right. And, that's the more serious side of the business. And what I do is, those legal protections, being a public servant for the state of Florida, making sure that the documents are notarized, pursuant to the statute, that they're applying by the Florida laws, everything that's relevant within the state, to make it a legal, valid document.
Right.
So those are, the day-to-day appointments and things like that. But I also do wedding officiating.
Oh,
which
so that's
I
a little
absolutely
bit more fun.
love. That's
a little bit fun.
Like the cherry on top of the sundae. That's the good part. That's the fun part. That's the exciting part,
Okay. So the question is, if you're going to be an officiant at a wedding,
yes.
Do you stick around and get to eat the cake, and do you dance too, or do you just do the officiating and then do you leave? What is the service?
It completely depends on the couple, on are you invited to the after party or not,
right?
And what type of ceremony it is. In Florida, notaries can legally marry people.
Really?
We're one of few states that allows that, but I also do have my ministry credentials through the Universal Life Church. So I can perform ceremonies religiously or not religiously. Some people, especially since COVID, again, I know we keep going back to COVID, but
it's kind of the elephant in the room.
I know, it really kind of changed the world and business structure and how we kind of do everything on our day-to-day life.
What we're doing right now,
Yeah. But since COVID, a lot of people don't even want to have a real wedding per se. They just want to have the ceremony. They just want to solemnize their vows. So I do it at their house, in their kitchen, in their backyard.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I married a couple at Cracker Barrel because they met there at breakfast.
Did they get tchotchkes on was the wedding, what do you call those? The door prizes or like the trinkets? Was it stuff outside of Cracker Barrel? Did you get like a keychain?
Yeah. Then we got the little Mr. and Mrs. towel to hang on their oven in the room.
They were registered at Cracker Barrel and they had everything done right there.
I married a couple in the Home Depot parking lot because that's where they met. So I go to you again for this service, wherever you want it, however you want it. I have the powers to be to legally marry you. And there is nothing too weird for me. There is nothing off limits. Like, I'm so excited in October. I'm officiating a Game of Thrones wedding.
So who are you going to be? Are you going to be Daenerys? Are you going to be dressed as Jon Snow? Are you going to be dressed as the Queen? Who are you going to be?
I'm going to be dressed like, kind of like Khaleesi.
Okay, so Daenerys. Okay, so you're going to be the mother of dragons. You're going to be the officiant of weddings. You're going to be that's going to be your name.
I'm super excited. So whatever wedding type you want, if it's in your kitchen, if it's at a park, if it's wherever you met it, or if you want to dress up and do crazy things, I'm there for it. I love it.
Oh my God. So that is pretty awesome, because that was going to be my next question is, what is the craziest thing you've done? Dressing like Daenerys you're gonna have to have like a fire breather like over your shoulder so that they could just like blow a flame out when you're if she was the breaker of chains, you're the maker of chains. You are bringing people together.
Yeah, so it's funny because with those ceremonies, you never know what the couple is going to request, what they want, how they want it. But I'm here for it. It's a no judgment zone with me. It is your day, and I'm here to make it happen.
You know, Melissa, I love that because, and not to get, drag us into a religious conversation, but I grew up in the Catholic Church as a kid. And, this is like the antithesis of that. Like, that was pomp and circumstance and ceremony and everything had to be buttoned up. Right. You stepped a certain way to the march and blah, 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 blah. And how different life is, not only did I forge permission slips, I get to see the changing of the way the weddings are officiated too. It's fantastic. Getting old does have its advantages. Don't let anybody fool you.
Yes, it does.
So usually my next couple questions for you might actually be part of the same question. So normally I would say like, hey, look, tell me what you do for fun and then kind of tell me what's a hardship. I know recently when we've spoken, it's not real recent, but probably in the last year, you were recovering from an injury. So what do you generally do for fun? And if it injures you and you have to overcome that hardship, how do you get around that? What is a hardship and what's something you do for fun?
Right now, my American Bully, we just had puppies.
Wow.
So I am covered with puppy love and puppy breath, which is like one of the best things in the world.
Should be bottled. It should definitely be
bottled.
It really
should. It's amazing. So we have, we're overwhelmed right now with puppy love.
Okay. How many puppies were in the litter?
There are 6 puppies, 4 girls and 2 boys, and they're stunning. I'll have to send you pictures of them.
Oh,
they're
please.
Absolutely stunning.
I'll tag them. I'll tag a picture of the puppies in the podcast when we post it, so people can see the puppies.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
So are they big? How big is mom and dad? How big are the parents?
Mom is a standard size American Bully. Dad is an XL. So you can see between the puppies, some of them are going to come in between because they're already starting to look different. Like some of their legs are longer and things like that. So the puppy love is.
It's funny, like Norman, Norman, he's been in all the magazines. You see him every month when you get him. He's going to be 7 in July. So the puppy breath, now he's got like stinky breath. Like he's not too bad, but he's, he doesn't have puppy breath. But now my fiance has a French Bulldog, Louis, who's just getting out of the puppy breath stage. So it's like puppy breath is this thing, and this is now going down a dog path here, which I'm always down to go down. But it's almost like a catch-22. The puppy breath is amazing, and you want to just stick your nose and face in these dogs' mouths, but then they have those razor-sharp puppy teeth. Exactly. So it's like playing with an alligator. Like you want to smell the breath, but then he gets you with those sharp teeth. So finally, Louis' breath is just starting to kind of go. He doesn't have the puppy breath anymore, but he doesn't have those sharp teeth anymore. And he's learning kisses. So we tell him kisses, kisses. And he'll lick a couple times. He'll take a little nibble. I got a giant nose, so he'll kind of chomp on it. But puppy breath, I've always said for years. My ex, we would talk about it. We had like 9 puppies at one point. We were puppy sitting. The puppy breath, it was like drowning in puppy breath. It was fantastic.
Yeah, they're awesome. So the puppies will keep me busy until football season. And that's my next, big love. My husband and I are both retired veterans. He was Navy and I'm Army. So we keep a rivalry going all year long anyways. But then when it comes to football season, I'm a diehard Steelers girl and he's a Ravens fan. So, we keep it up all year. But this year, now that I'm back walking and everything, recovered from my surgery and I'm back on my feet, we are going to travel. And one of the things on my bucket list is I want to go to every stadium, in the NFL. So there's a lot of new ones and there's some that I've been to before, but now they have a new stadium. So guess what? I need to go again. So that's what I do for fun.
Thank you both to you and your husband for your service. That's first off. Second off, you said he's Navy and you're Army. So you guys have, late November, there's got to be some sort of push-ups and all sorts of stuff going on in the house when that game's going on. And Ravens and Steelers, my fiance is an Eagles fan and I'm a Giants fan. So there is we play on Christmas this year. She already said to me, one of us is going to have a bad Christmas, and it's probably going to be you. And
I love her.
I can't even.
I love her.
I mean, I can't get mad. They've owned us recently, but so I love the house divided stuff because it gets you. Like, we already have bets. There's bets lined up on top of bets.
Yes.
I will tell you though, for my own personal safety, I will not wear Giants gear in Lincoln Financial Field just because they're uncivilized, those Eagles fans. I mean, Steelers fans, you guys, you're old, you're blue bloods of the NFL. My Giants fans are like these old blue bloods. They have class and clout and they etiquette. In Philadelphia, they hit Santa with snowballs. Their old stadium had a jail in it. I mean, they're the worst. They're universally the worst fans. And she'll probably never listen to this podcast. I might make her listen to it just for this, so I could publicly declare that they are the worst fans on the planet.
No, I don't know if they're the
Cowboys?
worst fans. I think the Raiders fans and the Cowboys fans are pretty bad.
They're bad, but Raiders fans really have nothing to hang their hat on for 20 years, so it's kind of like
that's why they're so angry.
They're ornery, yeah. And Cowboys fans, actually, it's been almost 30 years, which as a Giant fan, I chuckle as I say that. It's so exciting. You can see my Eli Manning and Lawrence Taylor stuff in the background. So, but yeah, one of my best friends growing up is a Cowboys fan living in New Jersey, and he just, for years, he took heat, and then the Cowboys got good, and he was relentless. He wouldn't let up on us, but I will tell you, this is what a romantic I am. I mean, I know we've worked it together and, I just look like I'm this marketing guy, blah, blah, blah. But this is what a romantic I am. I bought because there's very few things I would wear that are Eagles colors, but I did buy, just for my fiance to make her feel better, a Jason Kelce jersey. And I picked her up at the airport and showed up in the jersey, and I think that's when she fell in love with me. It might have been the moment that she did it, and I'm saying it on a podcast now, but I'll never. It'll only be behind closed doors as part of a lost bet that I'll wear it. But I did do that to try to make her feel better. So we always do the things for the people that we love. So it's one of those things. But the Ravens are going to be good this year. I think they're going to be pretty decent. So you might have your hands full.
I will, but it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. I love it. So,
well, you remind him, like, if you're cooking dinner for the family, just remind him, if you're going to trash talk, remember who's preparing the meal, and that'll kind of slow it down a little, slow a little bit of the heat down a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is. That's awesome. So,
but that's the thing, just like with business within the community, there is enough business for all of us. And working together and bringing together what we can do as a community and helping one another, even despite any differences we may have, is the most important thing. I spread that across everything I do in my life. So,
well, I'm glad you said that. I mean, I'm drinking out of my Rotary Club cup, my tumbler here. And that's one of the things. I mean, I'm involved in the community. I have my different publications around Wesley Chapel and New Tampa. I'm a member of a B&I group, which I enjoy. I'm a member of the Wesley Chapel Rotary, which I really enjoy, because for me, that's my way. Like, I'm constantly talking to businesses in the community every single day. So what we do in the Rotary is amazing, just because the mug that I'm drinking out of is, we're building a home for victims of human trafficking in Pasco County. I mean, type of philanthropy that we do all feeds into what we try to do with bringing people together. So for you, people that are listening to this, as we're starting to kind of wind it down, what would be the one thing you want them to take away that they need to know about what you do and what you offer them in the community?
I'm going to bring to everything that I do my sense of leadership. And to me, leadership is loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. So when you hire me, I'm the face of the business. I am Melissa Battle. I am a Army veteran, a disabled Army veteran, an old Army veteran, but I promise I am going to show up and I am going to get you through whatever it is you're going through, and we will succeed in this mission.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And Melissa, I guess the $1 million question is, I mean, I hope it's the $1 million question for your business. how do people get a hold of you? What's the best phone number, email, website, all that information that we'll include in the post when we put this podcast out. But tell everybody listening how they get a hold of you.
On all social medias, it is at Notarizing Tampa. And my website is, of course, www.notarizingtampa.com. And you feel free anytime, text or call 813-731-0164, or you can email me at melissa@notarizingtampa.com.
Melissa, thank you so much. Guys, if you're listening to this podcast and you're going through something with your family and you're in a pinch and you need somebody to help you with your documents, keep in mind, we're talking to a veteran who served our country, who is a member of the community in Pasco County, Wesley Chapel, New Tampa area. Those are the people we want to promote, to give our business to. You know, listen, we all love the UPS store and we all love our local bank and we love the convenience that we have with a lot of those things. But supporting local business is what it's all about in our area. And that's why we do what we do here. And that's why we're so grateful for the people that serve in this country. And that's why we're so grateful that you were able to come on with us today, Melissa. Thank you so much for being on episode 20 of the Good Neighbor Podcast.
I love it. Thank you, Mike, for having me, and look forward to meeting and helping with anything that you need.
Melissa, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast PASCO. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnppasco.com. That's gnppasco.com, or call 813-922-3610.